Well, Canada saw large rallies across the country here over the last week. The biggest ended in Ottawa at the Parliament buildings to protest the vaccine mandate for cross-border truck drivers. Well, host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney, joins us now with the latest on those protests. Shaun, as always, thank you very much for your time here today. So did those rallies get the attention that they had intended?
Hey, Jenna, good to be with you here this morning. So the rallies definitely got a lot of attention. In some cases, probably some attention on some things that the organizers probably wanted to avoid. There was a few bad actors that, I'll put it that way, that were at the rally in Ottawa with certain flags and things like that, a lot of Canadians and, well, anybody around the world would find quite distasteful. And so there was a lot of focus on that. And that was quite unfortunate. The media was kind of sidetracked on what some of the real intents were of this rally. You know, and it wasn't just in Ottawa, as you mentioned, rallies kind of across the country. I know south of me here in Coutts, Alberta, which is the Sweetgrass, Montana crossing, there was upwards of, some people said, 50 kilometers of trucks that were at that crossing. Emerson, Manitoba is another example. So really people speaking up to put attention on the fact that, you know, at one point truckers were, you know, essential workers. They were the heroes early on in the pandemic as they risked their health to get goods back and forth across the border. And now we're dealing with this kind of situation on this cross-border vaccine mandate. And it just seems to be a real change in direction. That's quite unfortunate.
Shaun, is there much of a chance that there might be a change in policy?
Well, this is where, Jenna, it just seems to be a low probability if you kind of look at the landscape. You know, on all the mandates, there's just this, like the rally has to do with the cross border, so that makes it a bipartisan issue, and so it's just not the Canadian government that has to change. And if you look at it from a Canadian perspective, the politics here and the opinion of Canadians is kind of on the side of the Prime Minister. There is a couple polls out. Ipsos has a poll out saying 1 in 5 Canadians say they may never be comfortable living without masks or vaccine mandates. That's right in line with this kind of policy. Whereas Angus Reid has a study out this morning saying that 54% of Canadians now say it's time to end COVID restrictions and leave responsibility to the individual self for isolation. So those two numbers kind of going in conflict with each other. At this point, I think there's kind of a low probability that the government does any sort of a budging.
Shaun, I have to ask, with thousands and thousands of truckers taken off the road for the protests, and that's not just in Canada. We've heard of reports out of Brazil and other areas of the world that also held protests. What about the concern now in the lack of transportation with those trucks out of commission here during the protest?
Yeah, well, there is that. Although, you know, in some of the areas, the protest size has definitely subsided. You know, we're hearing reports at the Ottawa rally that, you know, some trucks have definitely gone home. There are some people, you know, there was a lot of money that was raised, something like $6 to $8 million on a GoFundMe page. Some people are saying they're going to settle in for a very, very long time. At some point, you kind of wear out your welcome with even people that are supporting your cause. Mm-hmm. You know, this mandate itself, though, Jenna, has taken a lot of truckers off the road, especially in certain pockets of the country where vaccine rates are a little bit lower. And it's impacting, you know, livestock haulers is a really good example. Things like soybean meal coming into Canada to feed some of those hog operations. It's really been a struggle for a lot of our agricultural producers, trying to make sure that whether exports or imports, they're getting the supplies that they need.
All right, Shaun, as always, thank you very much for your insight today. Host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney, connecting with us today. You can go online to realagriculture.com for more information. You can also catch Shaun on his show, Real Ag Radio, that airs at 4:30 Eastern, Monday through Friday on Rural Radio 147 Sirius XM. Of course, we'll chat with him here on the Market Day Report again tomorrow morning.